Web3 TV.
Would you say that trading is gambling?
Trading is calculated gambling. I make more money today than I ever have. I am more fitter today than I have ever been. I spend more time with my family today than I ever have. So I don't agree with the concept that with age you slow down. If I were to ask you today, it's gonna be the last day of your life.
The last day of my life?
What would you be doing?
I'm
gonna live every day of my life as if it's the last day of my life. Yeah.
Why is that?
Because
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Traders Brawl podcast. This is episode 72. I'm Adel, the host, and today we are going to be covering with a serial entrepreneur, Jigar Sagar, who I'm about to get into. For those who are new, welcome. For those who are here, thank you for staying with us. We are here all about fitness and financial freedom. We bring in guests every week to learn about the work-life balance alongside their work lifestyle. So today's guest is Jigar. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. I want to read out your bio so those who may not know you have an idea. Our guest here is a serial entrepreneur, visionary, and strategic advisor who's helped shape the UAE's digital ecosystem. With over 30 ventures and a combined valuation of over 350 million, he's the founder of Triliv Holdings, EasyMS, and AppyZap, blending AI, finance, and emerging tech. He led Creative Zone to become the UAE's largest business setup before exiting in a multi-million-dollar deal. Through ventures like SetHub and Creo, he's empowered over 250,000 entrepreneurs and now oversees 3,000 plus employees across his companies. Passionate about travel, fashion, and Formula One, Jigar's mission is to empower 100 million entrepreneurs globally. That's one hell of a bio you have.
I feel like I've just started.
That's great. I mean, Jigar, tell us a bit about yourself.
Right. So I don't think I'm, anything special in terms of I wasn't born special. Like I'm not a geek or anything like that. I'm just an average Joe. But I think I'm driven, I'm passionate, and I'm a go-getter. And I don't stop trying to achieve what I want to achieve. And honestly, what you read out there feels a bit weak for me because I feel like I've just started.
Wow. And when did you start? What was your origin story like?
At the age of 10.
Yeah?
Yeah, I started my first stint with my dad. He has a shop here in the souk, in the UAE, in the Gosh souk. So at the age of 10, trying to understand trade, commerce, business, money, finance, and because it was gold and jewelry, numbers came naturally as a part of that extension. But the learning was there. But corporate life started a little bit later. At a bank, worked in HSBC for a small stint, and then decided to go away, pursue my master's, came back, and started as an employee at Traders Zone, actually. Worked there as an employee for a few years, and then bought into the business a minority stake, and then bought in an additional stake much later.
I see. Did you buy the whole stake in
No,
it?
I have some partners in that
And
too.
did you sell that stake ever or no?
Yeah, it's all sold.
It's all sold.
It's all sold.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, for me, myself, I started as an employee too, before launching my own here in Dubai, and I had to get some training and groundwork. My question to you is, how important was beginning as an employee before launching your venture?
I think every life lesson adds to who you become, right?
Yep.
So those life lessons may come at the place of work, may come personally, but I believe in basically chasing opportunities and constantly upskilling myself, constantly learning so that I'm able to grab those opportunities and make the most out of them.
Makes sense. And now, fast forward to now, you've, correct me if I'm mistaken, you built over 30 plus companies.
Yeah.
Is that right? How many of them almost broke you before they became success stories?
So I have launched over 100 companies.
Okay.
I currently have over 30 active companies.
Right.
So that gives you the sort of
Right.
understanding of the ratio, right?
Right.
Some I have exited successfully, so it's not that everything else in balance was a failure. But I've had more failures than successes. But honestly, it is not to say they were failures in terms of what I learned from them.
Okay.
Every business that I tried to launch and didn't do well and had to be shut down left a lesson. And that lesson was used for the next one and the one after and the one after. So that's why I think I keep trying to start and launch new businesses all the time, because I want to not be outdated. I want to make sure I have up-to-date knowledge.
With lessons learned there, in that said, what's one shiny startup idea that you came across which you wish you never touched ever again?
Shiny idea.
Well, they come up with this glitz and glamour. It looks so good on paper.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can tell you, because you said shiny, I mean, I have a perfect one for that. Just because I was exposed to the gold business from my family side of things. At the age of about 24, 25, I decided to trade in the gold pricing. And
Right.
I believe I lost about 6 months of savings.
Wow.
And at that age, that hurt. But it did leave a great lesson. The lesson was, go to Vegas if you want to gamble.
That's
More
real.
fun.
And how did you lose so much?
You were trading on gold prices, and volatility kicked in, and
Right.
you were expecting it to go in one direction. It went the other direction. There's always a risk, no matter how much of a calculation you make. Things can go south, and it did.
Wow, it's crazy. I mean, would you say that trading is gambling?
Um, Trading is calculated gambling.
That's a better way of saying it.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Um, because when you're trading, you're not really creating any value, are you? You're just transferring wealth.
Yes.
So it's a bet against 4,
Right.
and there's a transfer of wealth from person A to person B. There isn't real creation of wealth. And for me, when the wealth is just being transferred from hand to hand, I call it gambling.
Right. That's a fair point, because it's a zero-sum game, end of the day, money. And when you're not creating something of value, you're just putting money in here, hoping it goes in one direction and then cashing out. You didn't create something.
Correct. But remember, if you did make money in that case, someone else lost money in that
That's
trade.
true. You took, yeah.
So someone loses in a trade and someone wins in a trade.
That's true.
So for me, when you win and you lose, that's called gambling, right?
Right. Yeah, because the markets are like an impulsive person, who's like, yeah, you can never predict what's going to happen tomorrow.
You can try to predict what's going to happen tomorrow, but ultimately what's going to happen is the prices are not reflective of the true value. They are reflective of the true human psychology and emotion for that asset, be it crypto, be it anything else. Ultimately, when you're trading on these aspects, you're not trading on the fundamentals, you're trading on the human emotion and psychology. So, well, it's a little different than gambling in cards or something like that. But then I feel like the other one's more fun in Vegas. But yeah, I don't see any value creation. And if there is no value creation, I stay out of it now. And that was my lesson learned.
Do you ever feel like the markets need some therapy? Because I mean, we all need therapy in this case, but the markets are like a bipolar on steroids in a way, because especially I'm talking from a cryptocurrency perspective, where you can lose 20% in a day, especially if you're trading meme coins. And I wondered if you dabble in any meme coins, cryptocurrencies.
So because I had my lesson early in life,
Right.
from that gold business,
Yeah.
by the time crypto came around, I tried to stay away from it.
Fair
Like,
enough.
I have nothing against people who dabble into it, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm not against the idea of trading.
Yeah.
I'm just saying is that it's not for me.
It was noted that your combined valuations was 350 million. Is that right? That sounds really, really large. What's one deal you regret walking away from or wish you did sooner?
I don't think I have regrets as such, because when you sit in a regret, you end up wasting a lot of your energy and a time wondering and pondering over things that are no longer in your control.
Right.
So I believe in the concept of controlling your controllables and then ignoring the rest. So from that perspective, I mean, would I have been fortunate enough that, oh, okay, maybe I got into crypto early on and, the Bitcoin went up and I made a lot of money out of it? should I sit here and regret that I wasn't into it? You can sit and regret everything in life then. But the idea is, why don't you focus on your strengths? And so I have a strength when it comes to creating value and starting and launching businesses. And that's where I put in my energy.
At this present point in time, in the age of AI, what are you most focused on? What AI company or companies are you most focused on?
Okay. I think people don't truly understand what is AI. I think it's a great fancy term thrown out there. The reality is much more boring. The reality is it's just RPA, it's just machine learning, it's just algorithms.
Right.
That's what it is. It's a fancy way of saying, oh, we are into AI. What is lacking today is people are unable to understand how digitization can help their business be better, be more streamlined, be more efficient, be more faster, cheaper, improve the bottom line effectively. Now, what I've done is I've invested in multiple tech companies, products. So one, I have a company called Onowate, which does software development, but they're focused on software development using AI tools. That's at the core. The marketing agency that we run, Creo, it's not just one more fancy marketing creative agency. Yes, there's a creative department and an angle to it, but it's all about using data science to improve your revenue and lead generation, right? Effectively, get more customers through the door, but using data. So ultimately, there's also AppyZap, which is the moonshot, a no-code software development platform using AI. So you talk to ChatGPT today to ask you to write a code. You could talk to ChatGPT or AppyZap in this case to build you an application for your business case. It's not necessarily an application that's going to be used by your customers. It could be for anything and everything. But if you understand your business better than any coder out there, it's better that you are in control of what you're building. And you no longer are restricted in digitizing your business just because you don't know coding.
Interesting. So the no code application is you can build apps,
Yes.
mobile apps,
Yes.
And software on computer as well.
Yes.
Without code.
Yes.
Interesting. And the back end is all taken care of?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not just shiny, like, it looks really good, like a copy paste of a great website.
No.
There's also a back end involved.
There's a backend involved. So like you can actually build even the whole admin panel, the customer portal, the vendor portal, whatever you want to build.
Oh, wow.
From that perspective, it's effectively a ability to have some sort of a layer of database creation from scratch,
Right.
using AI. So using speech, if you want to. The ability on top of that to have a workflow engine with a task management engine, with a document and a process and an output generator engine.
Interesting. Okay. So now talking about this trend that everyone's using AI, do you ever see you as a person being threatened by AI?
Not at all.
Not at all.
I think for those who are wondering if they're going to lose their jobs because of AI are
Really?
missing the plot. Did you lose your job because we went from fax to emails? Probably not. Did you lose your job when we went from emails to instant messaging? Probably not. Yeah, I mean, if there will be a few jobs lost, but then there'll also be new jobs created. It's all about how you adapt and pivot your business and your career with the change in trends.
Right.
So there's no point of you serving a need or solving a problem that no longer exists. So if your business is solving a relevant problem today, you'll be fine.
Plus, we should also take into account that many third world countries are still catching up and they're not using AI yet. So we may be advanced, like UAE is very progressive, but there are many third world countries that are not. And so we having this technology, we can sell this or use it to benefit from third world countries. This is a hack, actually.
I think it's way beyond just third world countries, honestly speaking. Even developed countries are still living in a dinosaur era.
Right.
So many companies out here still use Excel. Seriously?
I still use Excel. Excel spreadsheet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I still use it. What else do you use?
I mean, you can use reporting dashboards.
Uh-huh.
If your data is structured. So do you know how much data is sitting on your WhatsApp? Do you know how much data is sitting on your email?
I check the storage, and it says like 10 GB sometimes.
Yeah, but is it structured? No.
No.
That's why it's useless. It's garbage.
Uh-huh.
So the first layer, before you even start talking about AI, is can you get your data structured? And once you get your data structured and digitized in a way where you can effectively now have data across different platforms talking to each other, you can now make something of that data. So they say, data is the new gold. It's not new gold if it's sitting on your WhatsApp and it's in an unstructured format. So you got to first structure your data. And then now you can use so many tools out there that can actually analyze it for you and make something out of it for you. So what do you use Excel for?
Oh, I'm organizing my life, basically. Budgets, timetables, that kind of stuff. Making sure that everything is aligned on which day. I even use it as a calendar sometimes.
Okay. So do we not have AI-based calendars and life management tools? We do, right? So I think it's also about the change management, the habit.
True.
We're so used to doing things in a certain way.
Yes. But then I can argue back and say, why isn't Microsoft innovating with their Excel?
If you look at what Microsoft is doing, even as a company, firstly, they're not going to get rid of their huge revenue stream.
Of course.
Right? So you milk it till the end.
Yeah.
So they're not shutting down Excel anytime soon. Why should they?
Yeah.
If you want to still continue using it,
yeah,
they're not going to force you out of giving money to them. But if you see the tools itself that even that company is creating, even if you look at what Apple is doing, Google is doing, there are so many tools that these great large corporates have come out with that you could be using.
True.
You're choosing not to use it. There's Microsoft Dynamics. Have you tried it?
No.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, you gotta stay ahead. That's one of the things in this space. So much. I bet a new app is being launched every single day.
Every single second. Yes.
And the same is with meme coins.
Yeah.
Which I don't want to get into.
Hey, listen, more for the entertainment.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, trading can also be fun. Just don't get wrecked.
I don't think there's a problem if you get wrecked. I think there's a problem if you start waking up in the middle of the night and finding anxiety all over your head because things are looking red. And that's sort of where...
Or if you sell your house for an NFT.
Oh, God. Okay.
That's not good.
And let's not get that.
Okay, let's speak more about the more human side. So, is there a downside to being a serial entrepreneur?
There is an upside to doing something you enjoy doing in life.
Right.
And I'm a serial entrepreneur because I enjoy doing it. I enjoy creating value. I enjoy bringing value to this world. And I enjoy making money while I have created value and extracted value out of it. But to say, is there a downside? If you... Okay, so you got to define firstly, what's entrepreneurship for you?
I guess creating value for people. That's, for me, something new or value. It doesn't always have to be revolutionary new, but as long as you're creating value.
Okay. Many a times what I've noticed is people start a business and start putting on these fancy titles: co-founder, founder, chairman. What do you do? I'm an entrepreneur. Okay. What's your business? My business is so-and-so. What do you do? Oh, I'm the founder and I'm the CEO of that company. And the first question I asked them is, are you an entrepreneur or did you just buy yourself a job?
Yeah.
Right. So for me, entrepreneurship is a little different to what is typically considered as entrepreneurship.
Right.
For me, entrepreneurship begins at the concept of that business being sustainable without me being in there. So I love creating value, but a sustainable value. So I love creating businesses, but those businesses have to be sustainable in a way that they're not dependent on me or on anyone else. They're process-driven. They're not people-driven.
Right. And how many of these have you built?
So at the moment, we have about 30 plus active businesses, out of which I would like to say about 20 odd are already at that stage.
They're already process-driven.
They're already process-driven, and then there are about 10-ish which would have been launched in the last year or so. Last 2 years maybe, which are on the path of becoming process driven.
I see. And how many of them are AI related, or all of them?
So I try to bring in digitization in any shape or form into any and every business. Okay, so the way I look at it is I want to use AI tools to streamline the process.
Right.
So I don't build a business around AI. I build a process, and then if that process can be streamlined using an AI technology, I will do that. So for me, AI is more a tool of assistance for my business.
Right.
It is not necessarily my business.
Right. Which one out of those 30 and out of those 10, which one is the most revenue generating? Just to get an idea.
Yeah. I would say we operate in a public-private partnership format, a few free zones and special economic zones in partnership with the government. And that's where I come in as an advisor to the government as well, in terms of moving forward with the whole concept of bringing investment into the country, bringing FDI into the country, encouraging people to become entrepreneurs and start their own businesses and, not end up being a slave to their job effectively. And I would say these businesses are some of the largest businesses that I have.
And which one? And out of them, which one is the most revenue generating? Like the startup or the business that you run?
I can't tell you.
Okay.
Because the way we operate the public-private partnerships is we let the private sector be the face of it.
Right. What I meant was like the industry. What is the industry?
Government sector, government services.
Government services.
Yeah.
I see. So when you say government services, I mean, is it like an advisory kind of service? Or more like
It's an operating service for the government. So, I mean, you've been out and about to get your medicals done for your visa, for example.
right.
That's a government service. You've been to the immigration center over here to get your visa processed. Now, that's a government service. But these are all outsourced services to private players in the market. But when you go walking through those doors, you are dealing with the consistent framework because it's sort of like a franchise model, right? So you don't realize that you're dealing with a private sector entity, but ultimately there are private players who are operating those businesses.
I see. Okay, it's a good. Now I have a bit of an idea. And not everything has to be AI related. Process driven can be things like services for citizens and residents to make their lives easier.
Yeah, but then in that business, like let's say you're in the medical service industry, you can bring in AI tools.
Yeah,
For example, sentiment analysis. I have sentiment analysis applied at my BPO and my contact center that we operate, whereby we're able to understand the tone of voice and see if the customer is happy, unhappy, create an escalation even before the customer asks to speak to a manager or something like that. So this is how you can use certain tools to make the lives of your customers better.
And it's an interesting that you say that, because entrepreneurship, there are different definitions of entrepreneurship. Apple being the first of its kind, and iTunes being the first of its kind, creating something that wasn't there before. But in this case, it's more process driven, making the lives easier. And this is a different kind of venture.
Yeah.
That's why it's good to define this on this podcast, because people have different definitions of what entrepreneurism is.
Absolutely. I think the first question people get stuck with is, what business should I run? I want to run my own business, but what business should I run?
Right.
And the challenge is that they think they have to invent. They think they have to create something that doesn't exist. That's not true. What you need to focus on is what problems exist, and do you have a solution to that problem?
Right.
What needs exist, and do you have a solution to meet that need? Sometimes the problem can be solved and the need can be met just by differentiating in terms of the speed, price, quality. It's not to say there wasn't a restaurant yesterday, but there's still new restaurants coming up. But how are they differentiating? And the way they differentiate is what's going to define whether they're going to be successful or not.
Right. And I think you have to find your edge. You have to find what makes you unique, what makes you different from others. Because like you said, restaurant idea, there are many restaurants here, but what makes your restaurant particularly more different? And there are things that are factors. Could be you have better transportation links, you're in a better location, you have more foot flow. So you're able to get more customers, or you get a decent amount of customers that's able to be process driven, where people just come every day. You don't need to be there.
Yeah, and not everything is about digitization as well, right? So it's about the customer experience you are creating at that restaurant. Is it unique? Are you meeting certain unmet needs? in an era where fast food is prevailing, are you able to give a family 4 hours on a table because you're going to take that long to finish a dinner rather than getting them to turn tables? So that's a differentiator.
Yeah. Very well said. Now, going back to my question, we got carried away. The downside of being an entrepreneur, what I mean is, does it take away time from being able to spend it with family?
No. So I think it's all about how you prioritize your life.
Right.
In my thought process, you have health, wealth, relationships, and maybe now you can say social status added to it. When you talk about your health, you have effectively your mental health, and then you have your physical health.
Correct.
When you talk about your relationships, you have your family as an aspect to it, you have your friendships as an aspect to it, your spouse, your partner as an aspect to it. Wealth is the money you make, whether that's your career, that's your job, or that's the business you run. Social status is probably more to do with your personal branding. Do people respect you? Are you doing something in terms of CSR out there? So it's all about prioritizing. You will never be able to do everything, but what you can do is you can have certain things overlapping each other.
Right.
So, for example, I am into fitness, but I also like to spend time with my family. Now, either I can go to the gym or I can be with the family. What I did is I started training with my wife. So now, all of a sudden, I have a lot of time for her.
Right. It's a 2-in-1.
It's a 2-in-1.
Right. You're merging fitness with family.
Yes.
Right.
So how do you pick things? So, for example, you're talking about friendships, right? Relationships, and you're talking about friendships. And then we talk about career. I try to make sure that the environment I work in and the people I work with, I don't think at any given point I have that vibe with them that I'm an employer-employee relationship situation.
Right.
I create a vibe, or I like to be in a vibe where it's all friendly. I feel like I'm going to go meet and catch up with some friends. If you walk into my office, we were talking the other day with some of the colleagues, and we were saying this feels like the set of From Friends, where everyone's coming together and chit-chatting, and they're actually getting work done, but they don't even realize because that they're actually working. It's more fun. And if you create that environment, you can merge aspects of this, because unfortunately, the only thing that you can't change or control is time, right? You only have limited time, 24 hours. You got to sleep, you got to rest. Apart from that, how do you merge different things to create time for yourself?
Right. And that's the biggest, that is the $1 million question we're all trying to figure out, because I think as we age with time, we also get slower. Your body fails on you. You have less drive. You get wrinkles. Don't look at mine. And then so you now have to shift your priorities. And I wondered if that's something you will be going through in the coming.
So I am more fitter today than I have ever been.
Wow.
I spend more time with my family today than I ever have. I make more money today than I ever have. So I don't agree with the concept that with age you slow down. I think age does matter if your physical health is failing.
Yes.
But if you're 60 years old and you're fit, it doesn't really matter. I mean, I go to the gym and there are 50, 60-year-old people out there who lift heavier than me, who are fitter than me. And I look up to them and I'm wondering, what will it take for me to reach that stage?
Right.
So I don't think age matters per se. Yes, if you have a disease or something like that, unfortunately, that's a different conversation and a different topic. But if you're healthy, it is in your hands what you do with yourself. Now, we were talking about priorities.
Right.
If I were to ask you today, it's going to be the last day of your life, what would you be doing?
Wow. The last day of my life?
Last day of your life.
I would prioritize the relationship part of what you mentioned.
Right. So you would probably be with someone.
Yes.
Okay. Family, maybe, partner, XYZ.
Yeah.
Right? I believe in the same. So what did I do? I said, I'm going to live every day of my life as if it's the last day of my life.
Interesting.
Now, it doesn't mean I can spend all my time with my family. They'll start hating me. But at the beginning of the year, when I do my calendar, I block out dates. So I live by my calendar, right? And the way I do it is I'll prioritize my family first. My dates are blocked out, even 1 year from now, for my family vacations, for the time that I'm going to spend with my kids, traveling, exploring different cultures with them. And then I come into the second layer of my priority, which is me, my health. So I wake up early, get to the gym by 6 a.m. While the world is sleeping, I'm training.
Yes.
So it's not to say that I don't get enough sleep. I get enough sleep, but I just sleep a bit earlier than everyone else because probably what they're doing at that time is numb scrolling on their phone.
Doom falling.
And by then I have dozed off already because I'm going to wake up at 4 to be at the gym at 6, spend some time with the wife, come home, see the kids before they go off to school, make sure I'm back home when they come back from school, things like that. So it's all about you managing your schedule as per your priority. You got to take control. If you let the universe take control of your scheduling, don't blame the universe if you feel like you have no time.
And what sacrifices does it take to be able to wake up at 4 a.m.? Does that mean sleeping at around 9 p.m. and also no drinking, no partying? What are some sacrifices?
I think it takes discipline. I don't think it takes sacrifices. There's a discipline element to it. What it means is that I can go out and party, but can I do that night after night and still wake up at 4 a.m.? No. But then it's also about priorities. Am I prioritizing going out and clubbing and, partying with my friends over my health? No, I'm not. So I would rather wake up at 4 a.m., go to the gym, pay attention to my health rather than being out drinking, partying.
And then for the average 9 to 5 worker, this is the real value that they can hopefully take away. They would argue they feel like a slave to their job, and that's unfortunate for the world because there are restrictions that their boss imposes on them. They have to be in at a certain time. They have to do certain restrictions. Some of them even work weekends.
Yeah.
What's the solution for them, or what would be your advice to them?
If you feel like you're a slave to your job, quit.
But then how do you make money?
Right. Are you going to tell me that was the only job out there in the world for you? No. The first problem you have is, okay, you had a job because you had to put food on the table. Fine. You did what you had to do. If you're at that stage now, the next step you should be looking at is, how do I do something that I enjoy doing while making money at it? Because more often than not, what people don't realize is that if you are doing something that you enjoy doing, you will be great at it.
Yeah.
It was not about 9 to 6. It is not about working the weekends. I had a 9 to 6 job, but I don't think I ever had to work in that environment of 9 to 6 because I was enjoying what I was doing. I was probably finishing my work in the first 3 hours, leaving the rest of the 6-7 hours for me to learn new skills, learn other parts of the business and do other things and grow. So it boils down to, are you enjoying what you're doing? I mean, funny enough, people talk about priorities and, how death is inevitable and things like that. But then when you see it, how they're really living, it seems like they're just on autopilot.
Right.
Your theory says something. If I asked you a question, you will say that a certain way is the right way to live.
Yes.
But then if you go and look at your own life, you're not really following it, are you? And those are those slaves that you're referring to. I mean, your boss doesn't really care about 9 to 6. I promise there's no boss out there who wakes up in the morning wanting to give a hard time to their employee. They care about the output.
Yes.
If you deliver the output to them, do you really think they're going to make you work 9 to 6? No. I mean, if you're going to wait tables and your service time is 9 to 6 and you're going to be there 9 to 6, that's a different story. But then do it if you enjoy doing it. Don't stick on to it for any longer than you have to. People think that there are no opportunities out there, there are no jobs out there. No, that's not true. There are enough jobs out there. It's all about you finding the right job for you. You finding the right business opportunity for you. Why are you even looking for a job? Why don't you use your skill to start your own business? It's probably going to make you happier, healthier, wealthier anyways.
But at the same time, starting a business, the idea of starting versus actually knowing how to run a business are two different things,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely. So this is what I'm doing from Trillium Holdings, right? So when I say I want to go out there and enable 100 million plus people to become entrepreneurs, what I learned and I realized is that there's a lot of great motivational speakers out there.
Yes.
They talk about it's important to wake up and the grind and the grit and the consistency.
Discipline.
But what they don't tell you is how.
Yeah.
So that's the mission of Trilliv, right?
Right.
It's about creating an ecosystem where we can support entrepreneurs with anything and everything that they don't know how to for a business. If you don't know how to market, let's create a marketing channel for you. If you don't know how to sell, let's create a sales channel for you. If you don't know how to serve customers, let's create a customer service for you. So anything and everything except the factory, which is your business idea and the core of your business, let's create an ecosystem around it. You don't know how to hire people. You don't know how to manage people. You don't know how to bring technology into your process. So what Trilliv is doing is either through startups or by investment, creating an ecosystem for entrepreneurs. And that's what I've made my mission now is fine. Money is great. Money is amazing. I love money, but money is not everything. Money can bring you happiness when you don't have money. But the minute you have money, what's next? Happiness is not a constant. You got to constantly pursue happiness. And for me, I get my happiness in by enabling entrepreneurship.
And helping others.
Helping
Giving back.
others by not just motivating them, helping others by actually holding their hand through that problem statement, either through myself, by mentoring someone, or through the various companies that we have created and organizations that we have created that actually hold the hands of entrepreneurs and help them with the problem statement in their business.
Interesting. Before we wrap up and talk more about Traders Holdings so that the others can find out more, what would be I'm not going to ask you for your age, but the 25-year-old self, if he were here today, the 25-year-old version, what would he be shocked to learn about the man you become today if you were here?
At the age of 25, I was still finding myself. At the age of 25, I think I was probably still pursuing money, even though I knew somewhere that that isn't the right approach. And I wouldn't say that's a regret again, but if I could go back in time and change something, what I would like to change is not go back to the age of 25, but go back to the age of 10.
Oh, yeah?
And start chasing more and more opportunities. Don't be afraid of opportunities. So when I was 25, unfortunately, even though I had a great sounding board and a peer group and people to help and support me, what I did not have is that know-how of how to do the business. I had to fail 100 times plus to be able to learn. And I think in doing so, time went. I wish people can take life lessons from others. Read a book, right? For example, someone's story. They had to live a whole life to find those lessons. If you can find that lesson in, let's say, 2 days of reading a book, you just saved a lifetime for yourself.
Right.
But you won't do that, would you?
Too many distractions, too many notifications.
There you go.
And
that's the reason why you know what you need to do, but because people don't do what they're supposed to do, they struggle. And then you just go into this version of complaints. You always blame everything else. You blame the universe and you blame your luck. Mate, go out and create your own luck.
And Trilliv is trying to help entrepreneurs hold their hand to run their businesses properly.
Right. So the idea came with the concept of a venture studio. So initially the thought was, let's create a venture studio whereby you can help entrepreneurs by providing support services to them, whether it's HR, legal, marketing, sales, customer service. And then I said, no, you live in UAE, dream big. And I look around me and I see this beautiful city and I see this beautiful leadership and I say, why can't I do what they're telling us to do, which is dream big, be big. So instead of creating, like, let's say, a marketing division, go ahead and create a marketing company, a whole organization. Why don't you go and create your own BPO with 1,000+ employees? Why don't you go and create your own contact center? Why don't you go create your own software development agency, a low-code platform, a no-code platform, bring in process consultants on board, process consultancy organization, and all of a sudden what you start having is this amazing ecosystem of various entities that actually are out there in the market competing with the free market all by themselves. So they have to be sustainable. They have to be really good at what they do to be a profitable business to begin with. And that business can now afford to give services to entrepreneurs.
I see. Okay, that's a good way to wrap up. Before we do, where can those who are watching find out more information about Trilib?
At this point, it's all about jigarsagar.com.
Okay, so straight to your website.
Straight to my website, and what you see over there is the various things that I do. Because Trilib is the holding company, it's my family office, but the entities, they operate with the various different brands and names. So you can find all the information on jigarsagar.com.
And I'm also excited about your recent launch of Tech Tuesday podcast.
Yes.
Right? You heard about, I'm just curious, what inspired you to create Tech Tuesday podcast?
Okay. It was a conversation with one too many people about AI and how it's disrupting and, what it's going to do. And there was a fear. There's actual fear in their eyes when they were talking to me because it was something they did not understand.
Right.
And what I wanted to do was probably in a very simple way convey to them that what does AI stand for? AI is basically a tool that you can apply to any and every business out there in making your business better, in making your life simpler, faster, efficient, reduce your costs, improve your efficiencies, get your reports instantaneously rather than waiting for 10 hours scrolling through spreadsheets. Use, some calendar tools preferably.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to manually do it.
On Excel.
On Excel. Those boxes.
I know.
But yeah, so the idea was there was a fear, and I understand one thing very clearly. Fear is due to the lack of knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
True. And people are afraid to do something because they don't know how to.
People are afraid of the unknown.
And if Tech Tuesdays can bring some known into their lives, they'll be at least a little less afraid.
Is the aim behind it to bring education and wisdom?
The aim is absolutely to bring that know-how, that education, that information in a way that they can consume education and knowledge today.
Okay. So you want them to be addicted to their phones?
I actually say that don't spend a lot of time on your phone because you don't even really know what's true information out there anymore. There's so much information that it's now taking a lot of time to validate and invalidate information, to be very honest with you. But ultimately, if you know that you're going to a right source, try that. Spend a few hours listening to a few good podcasts that you might trust. There you go.
Yeah. Okay, no, that's great. Why don't you drop the link of the podcast? Where is it going to be? On YouTube?
Yeah,
already on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube, Instagram, across all the channels.
On your personal.
On my personal, it's Jigar Sagar, jigarsagar.com.
Perfect. Jigar, I want to thank you for your time,
Thank
and
you.
I really appreciated your insights today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. All right, and that's a wrap. Thank you so much for watching. This is episode 72. Hope you found this insightful. We'll leave all the links in the description so you can check out Jigar's profile and what he's building. Thank you again. I'm Adel, the host, and I will see you next time. Cheers.
Web3 TV.